And the result is what we see today. The Palestinian Authority, its territory actually divided between two different entities with very little in common. The West Bank being under the rule of Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas and his Prime Minister Salam Fayyad, and the Gaza Strip actually under the control manus militari of Hamas, that actually represses heavily any expression of opposition after having taken the power by force in a very violent coup a couple of years ago. Iran has allowed Hamas to grow into a sort of paramilitary organization, not only away from their past as combining social work with clandestine terrorist activities, but having acquired more sophisticated weapons that can really hurt Israel. And trying to emulate the model of Hezbollah in Lebanon. That presence, this Iranian influence, seriously challenges the ability of the Palestinian Authority really to reach a conclusion of the Arab-Israeli conflict, because Hamas challenges the legitimacy of the Palestinian Authority. They deny the Palestinian Authority the right to negotiate at all on the name of the Palestinian people. And therefore, when we now approach negotiations, when we are talking indirectly with the Palestinians through the mediation of Senator Mitchell, for example, it's a heavy burden on the shoulders of the Palestinian leadership whether they can allow themselves to take the right decisions, neither to reach an agreement of compromise with Israel when they are under the threat of these radical elements, Hamas and their allies. Israel has shown repeatedly its goodwill and its willingness to do painful sacrifices in order to reach peace. It has been the line of different Israeli governments that the quest for peace takes precedent, and even this government, which, as you surely know, it's composed mainly of parties which are at the center and right of center in the political spectrum, have accepted the principle of a two-state solution, had, for the sake of goodwill and moving forward into negotiations, have accepted a moratorium on all new construction in the disputed territories in the West, in the Israeli towns and villages, in the West Bank, has actively helped the Palestinians develop economically by removing much of the security measures that were built up during the Palestinian uprising in the previous years. And they are needed for defense against terror and suicide bombers. And much of that has been disappearing as the Palestinian Authority is showing more willingness to keep law and order, and as we see that we can confront their own internal Islamist enemies in their own house. So Israel has been helping that, and the result is that in the time in which the world is looking at negative growth rates, etc., the Palestinian territories in the West Bank have been growing last year at a significant rate of 7% a year. That's not bad for 1909 and a similar rate in 1908 when the rest of the world was, well, I don't have to tell you. And that's a product of Israel help in allowing those things to happen, to give, to instill in Palestinian residents of Palestinian Authority and its youth the sense that there is hope, there is something to look forward to, and to show, of course, Israel's good faith in engaging in negotiations. Israel would have preferred direct negotiations. We have been talking directly to the Palestinians since before 1993. For us, now going back to a system of intermediaries is really a little, well, it's going back. But we agreed because that's what the Palestinians were insisting, and the Americans have accepted their position, and we didn't, of course, we didn't want to be an obstacle to the renewal of negotiations, which we wanted. So we have now engaged in these proximity talks, as they are called, and we hope that as they advance, they will open the door for renewal of direct talks with the Palestinians, as we have been talking actually for the last decade or more, actually. Regretfully, the long shadow of Iran is not only felt in the Palestinian territories. Another battlefield in which Iran conducts this regional war against the West and against Israel in particular is Lebanon. In Lebanon, the Shiite, Lebanese Shiite movement, Hezbollah, actually share the Iranian worldview, their religion too. Much of the leadership of Hezbollah has been trained in Iran, and previously in the past in the Shiite seminars in the south of Iraq before the Islamic Revolution. And the Iranians consider them rather fraternal partners, not only an ally. It's not like Hamas, which are Sunnites. They are flesh of their flesh and blood of their blood. Today, after Hezbollah is centered, is focused on strengthening their own internal power inside Lebanon. They thought in the past that they could conduct a unilateral war against Israel, in which they will shoot and Israel will not respond. Their leader, Hassan Nasrallah, spoke about himself as the ultimate expert on Israeli affairs, and he thought he knew how much you could probe Israel without Israel responding. Israel didn't want to respond out of sense of responsibility, understanding what are the consequences of a military engagement, until Hezbollah actually didn't give Israel any alternative. And since the Second Lebanese War in 2006, actually, Hezbollah has absolutely ceased any aggression against Israel. But they are doing two things. One is they are getting stronger inside Lebanon, because they understood that their position is not shared, but many of the other Lebanese that do not want Hezbollah to drag Lebanon into another war with Israel. And they're not willing to accept it. So they are increasing their weight in decision-making. They are trying to impose their worldview, their jihadist worldview on the other Lebanese. And the other Lebanese are resisting. But after all, Hezbollah is the strongest military force in the country. So there is a slow erosion in that resistance. And this is one thing they're doing. The second thing they have been doing is rebuilding their military might. And they have been doing that very effectively.